The Fairies of the Seasons and the Jealous Queen. In a faraway kingdom lived the Queen of the Seasons. She was accompanied by 4 fairies of the seasons who each lived in their very own castle. These fairies had the power to bring forth the beauty of their seasons, resulting in the freshness of spring, the warmness of summer, the beauty of autumn, and the chill of winter in harmony all year out. However, the Queen of the Seasons proved to be a jealous one, wishing to control each season by her hand. The jealous queen knew how powerful the combined powers of the 4 fairies could be. So she banished them to their castles with unimaginable sorcery. Fairies deeply missed each other and wished to be united once more. They decided to come up with a plan to make sure they could live together freely. The fairies communicated their thoughts to each other through messenger pigeons. But the queen's magic proved to be stronger than anticipated. So the fairies needed a plan that combined their forces to lure the queen out of her castle and undo her magic. Each fairy agreed to help one another with their powers to come up with an idea of getting the queen out of her castle. The spring fairy with her ability to blossom new life. The summer fairy with her ability to control the sun and water. The autumn fairy with her ability to shed trees of their leaves. And the winter fairy with her ability to create chilling snow and ice. The combined force of the 4 fairies was far greater than anything imagined before. But the queen knew of their plans and began to distract the fairies to prevent them from leaving their castles. First, the queen created a mighty magical wall around all the fairies' castles so that they could not leave. But the winter fairy froze this magical wall into solid ice, so that the summer fairy could melt it all down with her powerful sun rays. With her first plan failing, the queen decided to hatch a second scheme. This time, to block off communications between the fairies, the queen cast a spell onto the messenger pigeons. In response, the spring fairy telepathically imbued messages into the shimmering heat to communicate with the other fairies. At this point, it became far too difficult for the queen to deal with the 4 fairies on her own. Using this chance, the spring fairy whispered magic into the ground which saw new life blossom. With the aroma of a million flowers carrying out through the air. The aroma quickly engulfed the queen, making her dizzy. Then the summer fairy directed the sun towards the queen, making her sweat uncontrollably and thirsty for water. However, the queen could not drink any water because the summer fairy had also dried out the rivers and lakes. Meanwhile, the autumn fairy rained down her leaves onto the queen's castle, slowly destroying it. Finally, the winter fairy used her abilities to freeze the jealous queen and her castle whole. The fairies combined their powers to completely halt the jealous queen. At long last, the 4 fairies created a beautiful kingdom by protecting the 4 seasons. The kingdom no longer needed magic as the harmony of the 4 seasons saw to its beauty. The fairies spent their days in joy together without getting jealous of each other like the queen once did, and grew to love each other as true friends. More beauty and happiness befell the kingdom, and the 4 fairies used their abilities to create more seasons and lived happily ever after.